Hi there, my name is Naomi and today I'll be telling you more about the HOLiFOOD project and the different types of models that we have developed. Feel free to use the chapters below to navigate to specific sections.
In the HOLiFOOD project, we take a holistic approach to food safety. Our overall objective is to improve the food safety risk analysis framework in Europe. More specifically, we developed early warning and emerging risk prediction systems to identify and monitor existing and emerging food safety risks in the food chain. We also developed targeted and non-targeted detection methods for existing and emerging hazards. Holistic risk assessment methods and tools were developed to support regulation in a changing global environment. Finally, improved data and knowledge-sharing infrastructures were developed to power an ecosystem of decision support systems. In this video, I'll be focusing on two specific objectives, which come together in the dashboard that my colleagues have developed. This is the HOLiFOOD dashboard. After logging in, we can see that there are 5 different tabs, which represent 5 different tools and models. In this video, I'll be focusing on 3 of these tools. Let's start with the topic modeling tool. Topic modeling is a technique used to discover abstract topics or themes within a collection of documents. The goal is to automatically identify and categorize topics or themes within data. Today, we'll be using a case study to navigate you through the topic modeling tool with its 4 tabs. Let's dive a bit deeper first into topic modeling. Imagine you have thousands of sentences written on sticky notes. They are all mixed together. The model first figures out which sticky notes are talking about similar things. Then, it groups together sticky notes that talk about the same topic, even if they use different words. Once each group is formed, the model asks, what word best describes this group? These words become the topic labels. In this case study, we will look at different visualizations that will help us determine whether lead in cinnamon is an emerging risk or not. Let's look at some useful terms. Count. How often does the topic show up? Think of it as a person talking all the time. Degree of visibility. How much does the topic interact with or relate to other topics? If this is a high number, it is a very visible, influential and well-connected topic. If it's a low number, it is a more isolated topic, staying within its own bubble. If we're talking humans again, imagine someone talking to a lot of people, or someone talking mostly within a small group or staying in their corner. Topic significance. How important or meaningful is the topic overall? Think of it as people being a key player at a party. They guide conversations or represent important themes. And intertopic distance. How similar or different are 2 topics? When topics are close together on a chart, they share a lot of similar ideas or words. If they are further apart, they are about very different things. Alright, let's get started. First, we'll look at topic distribution. We will take a closer look at topic number 8. Here, we see cinnamon and lead, which could be a potential risk signal. By clicking on the topic, we have activated cross-tab synchronization. All tabs will focus on this specific cluster. Here, we can explore constituent keywords, such as lead or spice, under the Topics button. Let's look at topic characteristics. This tab provides deeper contextual understanding. Terms are plotted along 2 critical dimensions: frequency of appearance and interconnectedness or impact. The count, or the number of terms appearing in a topic, and the degree of visibility thresholds help isolate borderline cases that often signal emerging risks. Let's take a closer look at cluster number 8. We can see that lead appears in a mid-range position, not so frequent as market, but sufficiently prominent and interconnected to warrant attention. This positioning suggests lead contamination would be interesting to investigate further. Next, we move to the intertopic distance map. The intertopic distance map visually represents conceptual relationships between themes. Let's see if we can find cluster 8. Cluster 8 appears spatially isolated from other topics, indicating it represents a distinct risk profile rather than overlapping with existing concerns. While some adjacent clusters like egg safety or wild boar diseases show potential connections through bridging terms, The cinnamon-related cluster stands apart. This isolation strengthens the hypothesis that we're observing a novel risk pattern, rather than an extension of known issues. Next, we move on to topic evolution over time. Here, we confirm if there is indeed an emerging risk. Topic evolution over time visually represents temporal patterns. We see a pronounced activity spike in recent months. This, combined with its positioning in a topic characteristics view, provides compelling evidence of an emerging risk. This dashboard aims to assist emerging risk identification experts with filtering and visualizing various clusters of potential emerging issues. It will not tell you what emerging issues are, nor what the future will be. These methods are suitable for quick analysis of large text corpora, for decreasing the noise, and for separating important things from less important things. Next up is the weak signal miner. But what is a weak signal miner? To explain it simply, a weak signal miner is a tool that looks through large amounts of text or data and finds early hints of emerging trends, the small, quiet patterns that might become important later. In this tool, an AI-based pipeline is used to detect early-stage signals of emerging risks within large collections of text. Finding these risks early is difficult because initial indicators are often sparse, ambiguous, and easily overshadowed by the background noise of well-established topics. To solve this, the tool doesn't just look for single keywords. Instead, it uses AI, or more specifically, transformer-based microtopic modeling, to group documents into highly specific, meaningful topics. It then tracks these topics over time. By applying a special scoring system, the tool highlights rare topics that show a sudden, disproportionate recent growth. Finally, it uses large language models to generate intuitive labels and severity scores, helping experts quickly understand the potential risk. Let's look at how this works step by step using a real example. First, the tool gathers thousands of scientific abstracts related to food and feed safety. Next, it groups them into microtopics and analyzes their timeline. For example, when analyzing older data from 2004 to 2007, the tool identified a tiny but coherent cluster of terms around PFOS, a perfluorinated compound. Although this topic was rare, its prevalence was rapidly increasing. Because of this sudden growth, the tool flagged PFOS as a top weak signal before the first EFSA opinion on the subject was published in 2008. The tool successfully did the same thing for citrulline contamination in red yeast rice supplements, flagging it as a top signal before it became a formal regulatory focus in 2018. The weak signal miner is designed to extend human foresight, not to replace expert judgment. It acts as a computational radar, enhancing our peripheral vision to spot rare and overshadowed signals. By detecting these weak signals before they accumulate into mainstream awareness, the tool buys crucial time for experts and institutions. Ultimately, this shifts regulatory foresight from a reactive posture to a truly anticipatory one, helping us investigate and manage potential problems long before they become crises. Let's move on to the final tool. This is the holistic classification tool, which makes use of, as you might have guessed, a classification model. This model learns from examples from the past to make a good guess about new situations. This model is holistic because these predictions use many drivers of change, captured by more than 300 features. The tool consists of two tabs, which I will explain more about. In the tab Predictions of Exceedance, we look at predictions from mycotoxins and cereal grains. On the left, we see the calculated probability of a country exceeding half of the maximum residue limit for all combinations of product and contaminant. On the right, we see the actual measured exceedance per year in blue, while the predicted value is shown in red. The values for each country are also visualized on the world map. We can select some countries, such as France, the Netherlands, Germany, and Poland. Then we see that these countries are displayed on the left, also changing the graph on the right. Here again we see the historical data, but also the predicted value. As you can see, they closely match. Besides predictions of exceedance, we can also look at the drivers of change that were used as input for this classification model. On the top left, we see the 10 most important drivers of change. The most important driver is the agricultural stress index. Other drivers include economical drivers such as the GDP or gross domestic product, but also drivers related to the weather, such as the temperature and humidity. On the right, we see trends over the years for 3 drivers. For example, the agricultural stress index is increasing a little bit over time. The GDP and temperature are fluctuating. On the world map, we can see the agricultural stress index visualized for each country, which was our top driver. If we select some countries, for example Germany, France, the Netherlands and Poland, the graphs on the right have changed accordingly. The tool allows you to look into the drivers and assess their effects on contamination with mycotoxins. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you'd like to read more about the HOLiFOOD project, please check out our website.